Captain Sarah Chen walked through the busy marketplace of Nexus 7 space station. The air smelled of strange spices and alien foods. Creatures from dozens of different worlds moved around her, buying and selling goods from across the galaxy. Sarah was here on official business. Earth needed better trade deals with the alien races. Her ship, the Harmony, carried diplomats who hoped to make friends with powerful alien governments. But Sarah had never seen anything like this place before. The market stretched for miles inside the massive space station. Vendors sold everything from glowing crystals to weapons that could destroy planets. Sarah's translator device worked hard to change the hundreds of alien languages into English. She stopped at a booth selling beautiful jewelry. The vendor was a tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms. He smiled at her with too many teeth. "Human customer," he said happily. "Very rare to see your kind here. Most humans we see are—" He stopped talking suddenly. His face changed, becoming nervous. "Most humans are what?" Sarah asked. The vendor looked around quickly. Nothing. "Please look at these fine necklaces." Sarah felt something was wrong. She had learned to trust her feelings during 20 years in space. She thanked the vendor and walked away. As she moved deeper into the market, Sarah noticed other aliens acting strangely when they saw her. Some pointed and whispered. Others quickly looked away. A few seemed afraid, then she heard it. A sound that made her blood turn cold. Human voices crying. Sarah followed the sound through narrow passages between shops. The voices led her to a darker part of the market. Here the shops looked different, meaner. The customers were mostly large, dangerous-looking aliens carrying weapons. She turned a corner and saw something that made her stop breathing. 2 human girls sat in a metal cage. They looked about 16 years old. Their clothes were torn and dirty. Metal collars around their necks blinked with red lights. The girls had cuts and bruises on their arms and faces. A crowd of aliens stood around the cage. They were pointing at the girls and making bids. This was a slave auction. Sarah's hand moved to her weapon, but she forced herself to stay calm. She needed to understand what was happening before she acted. The auctioneer was a huge reptilian creature with green scales and yellow eyes. He held a shock rod that sparked with electricity. "These fine specimens come from the human colony on Kepler 442, the creature announced. "Young, healthy, and already broken to obedience. Perfect for household work or entertainment. Bidding starts at 5,000 credits. The aliens in the crowd began shouting numbers. Sarah watched in horror as the price went higher and higher. One alien pushed to the front. He was even larger than the auctioneer, with darker scales and scars covering his face. Gold rings hung from his nose and ears. "I am Overlord Vask of the Korthak Empire," he announced in a deep, rumbling voice. "I bid 50,000 credits for both females." The crowd went quiet. Nobody else dared bid against Vask. "Sold," the auctioneer declared. Sarah couldn't stay quiet anymore. She pushed through the crowd. "Stop," she shouted. "You can't do this. These are human beings." The aliens turned to look at her. Some laughed. Others seemed surprised to see another human. Overlord Vask smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Another human. How interesting. Are you here to buy your own kind, little female?" "I'm Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force," Sarah said, trying to sound confident. "I demand you release these girls immediately." Vask laughed so hard his whole body shook. "Earth Defense Force? Your pathetic little planet has no power here, human. These creatures belong to me now." Sarah looked around for help. She saw station security guards watching, but they made no move to help her. "This is illegal," Sarah protested. One of the security guards stepped forward. He was a tall, insect-like alien with multiple eyes. "Actually, it is completely legal," the guard said in a buzzing voice. "According to Galactic Trade Consortium law, humans are classified as livestock. Your species has no legal rights in civilized space." Sarah felt like someone had hit her in the stomach. "Livestock? Your people are good for manual labor and entertainment," Vask explained. "Nothing more. We have been hunting your colonies for decades. The Galactic Council doesn't care what happens to primitive species like yours." The 2 girls in the cage looked at Sarah with desperate eyes. One of them reached through the bars. "Please," the girl whispered. "Help us." Sarah grabbed the bars of the cage. "I will get you out of here." Vask grabbed Sarah's arm with a massive clawed hand. His grip was strong enough to break bones. "You will do nothing, little human. These slaves are my property now. If you interfere, I will add you to my collection." Security guards surrounded Sarah. Their weapons were pointed at her. "Captain Chen," one of the guards buzzed, "you will leave this area immediately, or we will arrest you for disturbing lawful commerce." Sarah looked at the girls one more time. They were crying now, holding each other. "What are your names?" Sarah asked quickly. "I'm Emma," one girl said. "This is my sister Lisa." "Emma and Lisa," Sarah repeated. "Remember my name. Captain Sarah Chen. Earth will come for you. I promise," Vask laughed again. "Earth? Your tiny planet could not fight a single Korthak warship, let alone the entire consortium. These humans will serve me until they die, and there is nothing you can do about it." The guards pushed Sarah away from the cage. She watched helplessly as Vask's servants loaded the girls onto a transport. Emma and Lisa looked back at her until they disappeared from sight. Sarah stood alone in the marketplace, shaking with rage. Around her, aliens continued buying and selling as if nothing had happened. To them, the sale of 2 human girls was just normal business. She activated her communication device and called her ship. "Harmony, this is Captain Chen. Prepare for immediate departure." "Captain?" came the voice of her first officer. "The trade negotiations aren't finished." "The negotiations are over," Sarah said coldly. "We're going home." As Sarah walked back through the market, she saw things she had missed before. Humans working as servants in shops, their eyes empty and hopeless. Advertisements for exotic human specimens in store windows. Pictures of human colonies with hunting-permitted stamps on them. The galaxy saw her people as animals. Less than animals, but they were about to learn something about humans that no alien race had ever discovered. They were about to learn what happened when someone threatened Earth's children. Sarah reached her ship and gave orders to set course for Earth. As the Harmony jumped to faster-than-light speed, she made a silent promise to Emma and Lisa. Earth would come for them, and when it did, the galaxy would burn. President Maria Santos stared at the video recording playing on the screen in front of her. She had watched it 12 times already, but each viewing made her angrier. 2 human girls in a cage, aliens bidding on them like they were cattle. The reptilian creature called Vask laughing as he bought them. "How long has this been happening?" President Santos asked. General Patricia Hayes, head of Earth's military, looked at the intelligence report spread across the table. "According to our investigation, at least 30 years. Maybe longer." 30 years, Santos repeated quietly. "How many people?" "We estimate between 10 and 15,000 humans have been taken from our outer colonies," Hayes said. "The attacks always looked like pirate raids or natural disasters. We never suspected organized slave trading." Captain Chen sat at the conference table, still wearing her uniform from the Nexus 7 mission. She had not slept since returning to Earth 3 days ago. "The Galactic Council knows," Chen reported. "Station security told me humans are classified as livestock under their laws. We have no legal protection." Santos stood up and walked to the window overlooking New York City. Millions of people lived in the city below. Each one was precious. Each one was under her protection. "Show me our military strength," she ordered. General Hayes activated a holographic display. Images of Earth's 30 warships appeared in the air. "This is everything we have," Hayes explained. 30 ships against a galaxy of thousands of civilizations. Our weapons are primitive compared to what we saw at Nexus 7. A direct military attack would be suicide." "So we do nothing?" Santos asked. "We abandon our people?" "Ma'am," Admiral Zhang Wei spoke up from his seat. Zhang was Earth's best military strategist, a quiet man who had never lost a battle. "There might be another way." Santos turned around. "Explain." Zhang stood and pointed at the star chart displayed on the wall. "The aliens think we're primitive. They see us as weak. That can be our advantage." "I don't understand," Santos said. "Throughout human history, smaller forces have defeated larger ones by using tactics the enemy didn't expect," Zhang explained. "The aliens fight wars with massive fleets and overwhelming firepower. They've never faced an enemy that strikes from the shadows." General Hayes frowned. "You're talking about guerrilla warfare on a galactic scale." "Exactly," Zhang nodded. "We can't match their fleets, but we can do something they can't. We can disappear. We can strike where they don't expect us and vanish before they respond." President Santos walked back to the table. "What would this plan require?" Zhang activated his tablet and projected new images. "First, we modify civilian ships to look harmless while carrying military equipment. Second, we train special forces teams for operations in alien environments. Third, we find allies." "Allies?" Chen asked. Who would help us? Every species the consortium has stepped on, Zhang replied. According to our intelligence, the major powers in the galaxy got that way by conquering smaller civilizations. There are hundreds of species that hate the current system. Santos considered this. It was dangerous. It could start a war that would destroy Earth. But doing nothing meant abandoning thousands of humans to slavery. General Hayes, begin retrofitting civilian vessels immediately. I want cargo ships that can fight and passenger liners that can carry troops. Yes, ma'am, Hayes replied. Admiral Zhang, start training volunteer special forces. I want soldiers who can operate on any world against any enemy. Understood, Zhang said. Captain Chen, I have a special mission for you. Contact the digital ghosts. Chen raised her eyebrows. The digital ghosts were Earth's most skilled computer hackers. They operated in secret and had never worked directly with the government. What do I tell them? Chen asked. Tell them we need access to every alien computer system in the galaxy. Tell them human lives depend on it. Over the next 3 months, Earth transformed. Factories that once built cars now built weapons. Scientists who studied medicine learned how to hurt alien biology. Computer programmers who made video games began breaking into alien networks. The public knew something was happening, but not the full truth. The government released edited versions of Chen's report, showing alien slavery but hiding the plan to fight back. Citizens volunteered by the millions. Former soldiers came out of retirement. College students trained to become spies. Grandmothers learned to build bombs. In secret facilities around the world, special forces teams practiced fighting aliens. They studied captured alien technology and learned the weak points of different species. They trained in zero-gravity underwater and in poisonous atmospheres. The digital ghosts succeeded beyond everyone's hopes. They broke into the consortium's computer networks and downloaded massive amounts of information. Maps of slave routes, locations of prison planets, financial records showing which aliens bought and sold humans. Most importantly, they found lists of other oppressed species. Dr. Elena Vasquez was in charge of contacting these potential allies. She had been Earth's top diplomat before Captain Chen's discovery changed everything. The Zephyrians lost their homeworld to consortium mining operations. Dr. Vasquez reported to President Santos. The Nerians had their oceans poisoned by alien factories. The Kalari were forced into labor camps when the consortium needed workers. Will they fight with us? Santos asked. They're scared, Vasquez admitted. The consortium has crushed every rebellion for 1,000 years. But they're listening. They want to believe someone can challenge the system. Meanwhile, Captain Chen worked with Admiral Zhang to plan the first rescue operations. They had identified over 200 slave facilities across the galaxy. We start small, Zhang explained, pointing at targets on the star map. Hit the weakest facilities first. Free every slave we find, not just humans. Show the galaxy that things are changing. What about Emma and Lisa? Chen asked. She had not forgotten the 2 girls from Nexus 7. Intelligence says they're being held on Korthak Prime, Zhang replied. That's Overlord Vask's home planet. It's heavily defended. We'll need to weaken the consortium first before we can reach them. President Santos looked at the final plan Admiral Zhang had prepared. Operation Thunderbolt called for simultaneous attacks across 12 star systems. It would require every ship Earth could build and every soldier they could train. The Galactic Council will call this an act of war, she pointed out. They already consider us animals, Zhang replied. At least now we'll be dangerous animals. Santos thought about her oath as president. She had promised to protect every human being. That included the ones in chains on alien worlds. Begin Operation Thunderbolt, she ordered. Zhang nodded and activated his communication device. All units, this is Admiral Zhang. Operation Thunderbolt is authorized. God help us all. Across Earth, modified cargo ships and disguised passenger liners began launching into space. They carried volunteer soldiers, medical teams, and liberation specialists. Each ship looked harmless from the outside, but inside they held the fury of an awakened species. The aliens thought humans were livestock. They were about to learn the difference between farm animals and apex predators. Earth was going to war, and the galaxy would never be the same. Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Rodriguez crouched in the shadows outside the slave processing facility on Terran 9. The building looked like a factory, but inside were 300 beings from a dozen different species, all waiting to be sold. Marcus had been a soldier for 15 years, but this mission felt different. This wasn't about territory or politics. This was about saving people who couldn't save themselves. Ghost Team report, Marcus whispered into his radio. His team had earned the nickname because they moved so quietly that enemies never saw them. Coming. North entrance clear, came the voice of Sergeant Kim. Walsh. South entrance clear, reported Corporal James. Parker. Vehicle bay secured, said Private Lisa Chen, Captain Sarah Chen's younger sister. Marcus checked his watch. In exactly 3 minutes, similar attacks would begin on 20 other facilities across the galaxy. Earth was keeping its promise to fight back. Remember, Marcus said to his team, we save everyone. Human alien doesn't matter. Nobody stays in chains. The digital ghosts had done their job well. Marcus knew exactly where the guards would be, which doors were locked, and how to shut down the security systems. The facility's alien operators had no idea death was coming for them. Marcus activated a small device that sent an electromagnetic pulse through the building. All the lights went out. Emergency alarms started ringing, but they quickly went silent as the pulse destroyed the electrical systems. In the darkness, Ghost Team moved. Marcus had studied the Vorthon guards who ran this facility. They were reptilian creatures with excellent night vision but poor hearing. They relied on technology to detect threats. Without their sensors and communication systems, they were almost helpless. The first guard died before he knew humans were in the building. Marcus's knife found the nerve cluster at the base of the alien's skull, exactly where human intelligence said it would be. The Vorthon dropped without making a sound. Sergeant Walsh took out 2 more guards with precise shots from her silenced weapon. The Vorthons had thick scales that could stop most bullets, but Earth's new ammunition was designed specifically to penetrate alien armor. Within 5 minutes, Ghost Team had eliminated all 12 guards in the facility. They moved through the building like shadows, checking every room. Marcus found the slave pens in the basement. Rows of cages held beings from across the galaxy. Humans, blue-skinned Zephyrians, aquatic Nereians, and species Marcus didn't recognize. It's okay, Marcus said as he began opening cages. We're here to help. You're free now. An elderly human man stumbled out of his cage. He looked confused and afraid. Who are you? The man asked. Earth Defense Force, Marcus replied. We're taking you home. The man started crying. I thought Earth had forgotten about us. Earth never forgets, Marcus promised. While his team freed the prisoners, Marcus searched the facility's computer systems. The digital ghost had taught him how to extract information from alien databases. What he found made him angry. Records showed this facility had processed over 10,000 slaves in the past year. Lists of buyers included some of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Worst of all, shipping records showed where other facilities were located. Marcus downloaded everything and prepared to destroy the building. But first, he had a message to send. He activated the facility's communication system and broadcast on all consortium frequencies. This is Ghost Team of the Earth Defense Force, Marcus announced. We have liberated this facility and freed all prisoners. Any alien found operating slave markets will face the same fate. Earth protects its own. He set explosive charges throughout the building and led the freed prisoners to the rescue ships waiting outside. As they lifted off, the facility exploded behind them. This scene repeated across the galaxy that night. Earth's Special Forces team struck 21 slave facilities simultaneously. They freed over 4,000 prisoners and destroyed millions of credits worth of consortium property. The aliens had never seen anything like it. Overlord Vask received the news while eating dinner on his flagship. His aide, a nervous Vorthon named Crix, delivered the reports with shaking hands. 21 facilities attacked, Crix reported. All targets destroyed. No survivors among the guards. Vask crushed his wine glass in his massive fist. How is this possible? Humans don't have the ships or weapons to mount such operations. Intelligence suggests they're using modified civilian vessels, Crix explained. Our sensors detect cargo ships and passenger liners, not military threats. Clever, Vask admitted grudgingly. But it won't work for long. Order the consortium fleet to begin patrols of all major trade routes. These humans will reveal themselves eventually, but the humans didn't reveal themselves. They had learned from Earth's greatest military leaders throughout history. They struck without warning and disappeared before the enemy could respond. Admiral Zhang coordinated the operations from a hidden base in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. His command ship looked like a mining vessel from the outside, but inside it was Earth's most advanced military facility. Phase 1 is complete. Zhang reported to President Santos via encrypted communication. All targets destroyed, 4,000 prisoners freed. Casualties? Santos asked. None, Zhang replied with satisfaction. The aliens never saw us coming. What about their response? They're increasing patrols, but they're looking for military vessels. Our ships still appear to be civilian craft on their sensors. Santos smiled. Proceed to Phase 2. Phase 2 targeted larger facilities with heavier defenses. The aliens were learning to be more careful, but they still underestimated human capabilities. On Kepler Station, Major Sarah Kim led an assault on a facility that held 800 slaves. The station's defenses included energy shields and automated weapons systems. Kim's team used a tactic the aliens had never encountered. They attached their ship to the station's hull and cut through the metal with industrial tools. While the station's sensors watched for approaching vessels, the humans simply walked through the walls. By the time the alien guards realized what was happening, Kim's team controlled the station's main computer. They turned the automated defenses against the guards and freed all the prisoners within an hour. Dr. Elena Vasquez was among the freed prisoners. She had been captured 3 months earlier while trying to contact potential alien allies. Her rescue was a bonus the mission planners hadn't expected. Dr. Vasquez, Kim said as she cut the scientist's restraints. President Santos will be glad to see you. I have information, Vasquez said urgently. I found the main processing center. It's on Korthak Prime, Overlord Vask's home planet. Kim activated her radio. Command, this is Rescue 7. Package recovered with valuable intelligence. That's where they took Emma and Lisa, Vasquez continued. The 2 girls Captain Chen tried to save. They're being held in Vask's personal collection. This information reached Admiral Zhang within hours. He studied the intelligence reports on Korthak Prime and whistled softly. The planet was a fortress defended by orbital platforms and thousands of consortium troops. It would take our entire fleet to even reach the surface, General Hayes pointed out during the strategy meeting. Then that's what we'll use, Zhang replied calmly. Captain Chen, who had been commanding rescue operations throughout the galaxy, requested permission to lead the assault on Korthak Prime. This is personal for you, Zhang observed. Yes, sir, Chen admitted. I made a promise to those girls. I intend to keep it, Zhang approved the request. The assault on Korthak Prime would be the largest military operation in Earth's history. Success would prove that humans were a force to be respected. Failure would mean the end of the rebellion. As Earth's ships gathered for the final phase of Operation Thunderbolt, news of the human attack spread throughout the galaxy. Some species were terrified. Others were hopeful. The rebellion had begun and nothing would ever be the same. The Galactic Council chamber filled with angry voices as representatives from dozens of species demanded action against Earth. High Counselor Thirak, a massive being with gray skin and glowing red eyes, called for order. The human infestation has gone too far, declared Representative Zoltan of the Vorthan Empire. They have destroyed 47 facilities and freed over 8,000 slaves. Our losses exceed 1 billion credits. Overlord Vask stood at the center of the chamber, his scales darker than usual with rage. These humans mock galactic law. They attack civilized commerce and steal valuable property. I demand immediate action. High Counselor Thirak raised his staff for silence. The Galactic Trade Consortium has made its position clear. Humanity is a threat to galactic order and must be dealt with accordingly. What do you propose? Asked Representative Kellax of the Zephyrian survivors. Complete pacification of the human home system, Thirak announced. Earth will be occupied and its population relocated to appropriate facilities. The human rebellion ends now. The council voted quickly. Only the Zephyrians and a few other oppressed species opposed the measure. The decision was final. A massive consortium fleet would travel to Earth and end the human threat forever. Admiral Zhang received word of the fleet movement within hours. The digital ghosts had maintained access to consortium communications despite increased security efforts. How many ships? President Santos asked during the emergency briefing. 300 warships, Zhang replied grimly. The largest fleet ever assembled. They'll reach Earth in 6 days. General Hayes studied the tactical displays. Our entire fleet is only 30 ships. Even with the modifications, we can't match that kind of firepower. We're not going to fight them here, Zhang said calmly. Santos looked confused. What do you mean? Zhang activated a new star chart showing the Korthak home system. While they're traveling to Earth, we're going to attack the heart of their empire. Korthak Prime. That's suicide, Hayes protested. The planet has orbital defense platforms and 50,000 troops. Conventional wisdom says it's suicide, Zhang agreed. But we're not conventional. We're going to do something they've never seen before. The plan Zhang revealed was audacious beyond belief. While the consortium fleet traveled to Earth, every available human ship would strike at Korthak Prime simultaneously. They would use quantum tunneling devices stolen from alien technology to appear inside the planet's defenses. The tunneling devices can transport small teams through any barrier, Zhang explained. Energy shields, solid walls, even planetary atmospheres. We'll be inside their fortress before they know we're there. Captain Chen volunteered to lead the ground assault. She had not forgotten her promise to Emma and Lisa. 200 soldiers against 50,000 defenders, she said. I like those odds. Lieutenant Colonel Rodriguez would command the Special Forces teams. His ghost team had become legendary among both humans and aliens for their ability to appear and disappear without warning. We've studied Korthak biology extensively, Rodriguez reported. They're physically stronger than humans, but they have several weaknesses we can exploit. Their nervous systems are vulnerable to electrical shock. Their blood chemistry can't handle certain Earth-based toxins. Dr. Vasquez had spent weeks analyzing the intelligence gathered from rescued prisoners. She knew the layout of Vasque's fortress and the location of the slave pens. The main facility is built into a mountain, she explained. 300 levels going deep underground. The most valuable slaves are kept in the lowest levels, including Emma and Lisa. President Santos authorized the mission with heavy heart. If it failed, Earth would face the consortium fleet without its best ships and soldiers. Bring our people home, she ordered. The human fleet departed Earth just as the consortium forces entered the outer solar system. The aliens detected the ships leaving but assumed the humans were fleeing in panic. Let them run, Overlord Vasque commanded from his flagship. We will hunt them down after we finish with their home planet. But the human ships weren't running. They were traveling to Korthak Prime through a route the digital ghosts had discovered in captured star charts. The journey would take 4 days. On the 3rd day, the consortium fleet reached Earth orbit. They expected to find a defenseless planet full of terrified humans. Instead, they found a fortress. Earth's entire surface bristled with weapons that had been reverse-engineered from captured alien technology. Orbital platforms surrounded the planet, crewed by volunteers who had stayed behind to defend their home. More shocking still, the consortium fleet found itself facing ships from dozens of species. Zephyrians, Nereians, Kalari, and others had rallied to Earth's banner. The oppressed peoples of the galaxy had finally found someone willing to lead them in rebellion. The Battle of Earth lasted 18 hours. When it ended, over half the consortium fleet was destroyed or captured. The surviving ships fled in terror, carrying word of humanity's victory across the galaxy. But Captain Chen knew nothing of Earth's triumph. She was focused entirely on her mission to Korthak Prime. The human ships arrived at the Korthak system undetected. Their stealth modifications worked perfectly, making them appear to be harmless cargo vessels on alien sensors. All teams prepare for tunneling, Chen commanded. Rodriguez checked his equipment one final time. Each soldier carried weapons designed specifically for fighting in the Korthak fortress. They had studied every corridor, every guard post, every weakness in the massive structure. The quantum tunneling devices activated simultaneously. 200 human soldiers simply vanished from their ships and reappeared inside the mountain fortress. The Korthak guards had never experienced anything like it. Their enemies had bypassed every defense and appeared in the heart of their stronghold. Alarms began ringing throughout the facility. Rodriguez's ghost team took out the command center within minutes. The Korthaks were fierce warriors, but they had never faced soldiers who moved like shadows and struck with precision. Human teams spread through the fortress like a disease. They had studied alien psychology and knew exactly how to create maximum confusion. Cut communications here, destroy power systems there, eliminate key personnel at critical moments. The Korthak defenders tried to organize a response, but they couldn't communicate with each other. Their weapon systems failed. Their reinforcements got lost in darkened corridors. Captain Chen led her team directly to the slave pens. She moved through the maze of passages as if she had built them herself. Dr. Vasquez's intelligence was perfect. At level 275, Chen found what she was looking for. A heavy door marked with Overlord Vask's personal symbol. Behind it were his most prized possessions. Chen used alien-designed explosives to blow open the door. Inside she found dozens of beings from across the galaxy, all kept as personal slaves for Vask's entertainment. In the far corner of the room, huddled together on a small bed, were Emma and Lisa. The girls looked older than Chen remembered. Their faces showed the effects of months in captivity, but their eyes still held hope. "Captain Chen," Emma whispered, as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing. "I told you Earth would come," Chen said softly, kneeling beside them. Lisa started crying. "We never stopped believing." Chen cut their restraints and helped them stand. "Can you walk?" "Yes," Emma said firmly. "We're ready to go home." Around them, Chen's team freed every slave in the facility. Humans, aliens, beings from species Chen didn't recognize. All of them would return to freedom. The fortress was falling apart around them. Human teams had destroyed critical support systems throughout the structure. Fires burned in the upper levels. The mountain itself was becoming unstable. "All teams evacuate immediately," Rodriguez commanded over the radio. The quantum tunneling devices activated again. 200 human soldiers and 800 freed slaves vanished from the crumbling fortress and reappeared safely aboard the rescue ships. As the human fleet departed Korthak Prime, the mountain fortress collapsed completely. 300 levels of alien oppression fell into rubble and dust. Captain Chen sat with Emma and Lisa in the ship's medical bay. The girls were physically healthy but emotionally damaged by their captivity. "What happens now?" Lisa asked. "Now we go home," Chen replied, "and we make sure this never happens to anyone again." The war was far from over, but the tide had turned. The galaxy's oppressed peoples had seen what was possible when someone refused to abandon hope. Earth had kept its promise. The reckoning had begun. 6 months after the Battle of Earth, President Santos stood before the new Galactic Assembly on the rebuilt Nexus 7 station. The same place where Captain Chen had discovered Emma and Lisa in chains now served as the headquarters for a transformed galaxy. The slave markets were gone. In their place stood memorials to the victims of the old system and schools where former slaves learned to live as free beings. "The age of oppression is over," Santos declared to representatives from over 300 species. "Today we establish the Galactic Bill of Rights, guaranteeing freedom and dignity to all sentient life." The assembly hall was very different from the old Galactic Council chamber. Instead of a few powerful species making decisions for everyone else, every world had a voice. Former slaves sat beside their former masters, now equals under galactic law. Emma and Lisa sat in the observation gallery, wearing the blue uniforms of the Earth Diplomatic Corps. They had chosen to dedicate their lives to preventing others from suffering as they had. Admiral Zhang sat nearby, still wearing his military uniform but now serving as Earth's Minister of Defense. The war was officially over, but Earth maintained a strong military to protect the new freedoms. High Counselor Thyrak was not present. He had died during the Consortium's final battle on Vrex Prime, still refusing to accept that the old order was finished. Overlord Vask was in prison on Earth, serving a life sentence for crimes against sentient beings. The Consortium fought to the end, Zhang had reported to Santos after the last battle. They couldn't understand that the galaxy had changed. Most of their military commanders chose to die rather than surrender. Now, as Santos spoke to the assembly, she could see hope in faces that had known only fear for generations. "We gathered today not as conquerors and conquered, but as partners in building something better," she continued. "Earth asks for nothing more than what we freely give, the promise that no being will stand alone against injustice." Representative Kellax of the Zephyrians stood to respond. Her blue skin was marked with scars from Consortium labor camps, but her voice was strong. "The Zephyrian people pledge our support to the new galactic order," she announced. "We have learned from humanity that true strength comes from protecting the weak, not exploiting them." Similar pledges came from dozens of other species. The Nerians offered their ocean worlds as refugee centers for displaced beings. The Kalari shared their advanced medical technology freely. Even some former Consortium species, ashamed of their past actions, sought to make amends. Captain Chen, now promoted to admiral, commanded the joint fleet that patrolled the galaxy's trade routes. The ships under her command included vessels from every major species. all working together to prevent the return of slavery. Patrol 7 reporting, came the voice of Commander Martinez over Chen's radio. Suspicious vessel detected near the outer rim. Investigate, Chen ordered. Rules of engagement are clear. Any ship found carrying slaves will be disabled and boarded. The suspicious vessel turned out to be a former consortium raider trying to restart the slave trade. Martinez's mixed crew of humans, Zephyrians and Nerians arrested the slavers within minutes. Such incidents were becoming rare. Word had spread throughout the galaxy that slavery was no longer tolerated. The new Galactic Defense Force had the power and authority to strike anywhere, anytime. Dr. Vasquez now led the Rehabilitation Commission, helping former slaves rebuild their lives. Her offices on Nexus 7 were always busy with beings learning new skills or seeking treatment for trauma. The psychological damage runs deep, she explained to Santos during one of their weekly meetings. Many former slaves don't know how to make decisions for themselves. They've been property for so long, they've forgotten how to be people. How long will recovery take? Santos asked. Generations, Vasquez admitted. But we're seeing progress. Children born after liberation are growing up free. They'll teach their children to be free. Eventually, the galaxy will heal. Lieutenant Colonel Rodriguez had retired from active military service but now trained the new Galactic Defense Force. His teaching methods were based on the tactics that had defeated the consortium. Never underestimate your enemy, he told a class of mixed-species recruits. But also remember that oppressors always have weaknesses. They become lazy and overconfident. Freedom fighters stay sharp because they have something worth dying for. The economic transformation was as dramatic as the political one. Without slave labor, the galaxy had to develop new technologies and fair trade practices. Many worlds that had depended on exploitation struggled at first, but they gradually found better ways to prosper. Earth had become wealthy beyond imagination. The technologies captured during the war, combined with grateful allies sharing their knowledge, had advanced human civilization by centuries in just a few years. But President Santos was careful not to let success corrupt her people. She often reminded Earth's citizens of their responsibilities. We didn't fight this war to become the new oppressors, she said in a speech commemorating the first anniversary of liberation. We fought to prove that intelligent beings can choose cooperation over domination. That choice must be made again every day. Emma and Lisa had become symbols of the transformation. Their story was taught in schools across the galaxy as an example of how individual suffering could inspire universal change. We were nobody special, Emma said during an interview with Galactic Media. Just two girls who got caught by monsters. But Earth refused to abandon us. That's what made the difference, Lisa added. Our suffering had meaning because people chose to act. Captain Chen could have walked away. President Santos could have decided we weren't worth a war. But they didn't. The interview was broadcast throughout the galaxy and became one of the most watched programs in history. Beings from hundreds of worlds heard the message, individual lives matter and no one fights alone. The old Galactic Council building had been converted into a museum. Tour groups regularly visited the chamber where powerful species had once decided the fates of weaker ones. A guide, himself a former slave, explained to visitors, "This room represents everything wrong with the old system. Decisions were made based on power, not justice. The strong took what they wanted from the weak." In the center of the chamber stood a statue of two young girls reaching through prison bars. The inscription read, "In memory of all who suffered in chains, and in honor of those who broke them." Captain Chen often visited the memorial when her duties brought her to Nexus 7. She would stand quietly, remembering the day that changed everything. "Do you ever regret it?" Admiral Zhang asked her during one such visit. "Regret what?" "Starting the war. All the death and destruction that followed." Chen looked at the statue of Emma and Lisa. Around them, beings from dozens of species walked freely through a marketplace where no one would ever be sold again. "How can I regret freedom?" she replied. The galaxy was not perfect. There were still conflicts between species, economic problems, and political disagreements. But these were the normal challenges of free beings, not the systematic oppression of the old order. On distant worlds, children played games where they pretended to be human soldiers rescuing prisoners. Former slaves named their children after Earth's leaders. Scientists worked to develop technologies that would prevent anyone from ever being enslaved again. The transformation was far from complete, but it was irreversible. The galaxy had learned a lesson that could never be unlearned. When one species chose to protect everyone, everyone became stronger. President Santos concluded her speech to the Galactic Assembly with words that would be remembered for generations. We stand here today not as humans, Cypherians, Nerians, or any other single species. We stand as guardians of freedom. The chains are broken, the cages are empty, and they will remain so as long as we remember that our greatest strength lies not in what we can take, but in what we choose to protect. The applause lasted for 10 minutes. In the observation gallery, Emma and Lisa stood with tears in their eyes, knowing that their suffering had not been in vain. Earth had kept its promise. The galaxy was free.